right, it's 7:30. Call to order the regular meeting of the Board of Trustees for July 20th, 2020. All rise for the pledge to the flag.
Oh yeah, we're recording.
Yes, we are. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United
States of America,
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty, justice for all. Okay.
What?
All right. First off is the approval of vouchers for July. I believe everybody's been in to review these. We have all the signatures we need. Mindy?
Yes, we do.
All right. Is there a motion to approve?
Approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Approval of minutes from June. I just went through, Mindy, and just cleaned up
Okay, good.
formatting.
Thank you.
Everyone have the ability to go through and review these?
Yeah, I just changed some punctuation. That's it.
On this version?
Yeah.
Yeah, I just sent it out through Drive earlier on. If there's no other changes or comments, is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Hold on, I got more guests to admit. All right. Approval of line item transfers for 1920. Mindy, you just want to discuss those quick?
Okay, so we're trying to close the budget year from 2019, which is at the end of May. And when we plan a budget at the beginning of the year, everybody knows like there's money put into certain line items. And throughout the course of the budget year, sometimes we go over in certain line items and we go under in other line items. So before we can close, the chart of accounts has to balance. So we move funds from the accounts that didn't have enough money to the accounts that did. And it's just a juggling of numbers basically, but the money itself that's in the bank isn't being moved. It's just within the chart of accounts.
Do you, I know you sent it out to the board. Do you have it in front of you just to kind of run through quickly?
I was working on it today. If you give me a second, I can pull it out.
Let's see if I can find it.
There it is, line item transfers.
Yep.
Should be the attachment. There you go.
All right. So if you want to just go through this quick.
Sure. So basically, the first item was the auditor, which we finally went with an outside auditor last year, which hadn't been done in I don't know how many years. So there was no money in the auditor account. So we had to put money into an auditor account to cover the $5,900. So that's the first. The second was engineering, and so we had spent $1,037 more than we had allotted, so we had to move that from a telephone account and a clerk account. The next lines are, so $110 in buildings went over. So we took from the clerk contractual that had extra money and moved it to cover that. Building supplies, we had money in elections, but we never had an election. So there's money left over in there. So we were able, actually 3 shortages we were able to cover from the elections, money left over. And then moving down to the law category, we had spent, as everyone knows, we had some legal issues in the year 2019. So we did spend more than what we had allotted. So there was about $30,000 in other unclassified that we left there for just that reason. So we borrowed that money to cover, but again, the note should recoup from the settlement, which we did. We got like 37.5, I think, from Homeland as part of the settlement for money we had spent on engineering and law and stuff. Moving down, street maintenance general, we went over that budget line by $8,000. So there was money left over in health insurance, fuel, the tree line item, the retirement fund line item. We had money in the Port Street Sewer Fund that wasn't used, and also other unclassified. So that covered the overage in street maintenance. The street maintenance contract was over by $250. So we had moved $250 from the workers' comp. Also, I skipped the registrar. That's a standard every year. It's part of the birth certificates, death certificates, those types of things that the clerk has to do. The outside pays for them and the clerk gets paid for doing them. So it's money in and money out. Snow removal, we had gone over by $350. There was money left over in workers' comp, so we took it from there. Social Security was over by $30. We took that out of the clerk contractual. We had some leftover money. And disability, we went over by, is that $10? And so we took that from clerk contractual also, was left over. So we had gone over what we expected in these line items by $40,000, but we had extra money in these line items, so we were able to balance the books and we'll be able to close the budget year. And this happens every year.
Well, it looks like you have an extra $24 on there.
An extra what?
40,962 compared to 40,986. Right?
40,962 compared to 40,009. Yes. Okay. So what is it? Extra
$24 and change.
$24. Okay. Which is something we're gonna have to figure out.
Yes.
But this is how this works. Line item transfers. And like I said, once or twice a year, the trustees and the mayor are asked to look at a list like that and approve it, because there's no way we can plan a budget for the year and have every line item the correct amount of money that we're going to spend that year. It just doesn't happen that way.
Anybody have any questions for Mindy?
I have a couple questions. So I didn't write down every single thing you just said, but would you say there were more overages or more underages?
More overages.
Okay.
A dollar amount, I would say more the underside. But as far as because there's some that are very, very small, you know, that a couple of dollars, or you know what I mean? But so the number of them, I would say there's overages, you know, leftover money. But as far as the dollar amount, you know, they're always bigger. It's like these big line items that stand out, like legal is a big one.
Legal definitely, you know, made a dent in our budget last year.
Right, and also, you know, you can see the things that change. Like we had money left over in election, obviously, because we never had an election. So, you know, there was a little bit of money spent there because we did print up ballots, we did have a registration day, but we didn't, you know, go the next step and spend the rest of that money. So that was left over. I mean, there's an explanation for every single thing, you know, and it's all, there's paperwork to back up every single thing. And, you know, as far this is laid out on a spreadsheet on computer because we made it that way so you could see it. But this is all like, you know, aside from doing it in the computer in the chart of accounts, we also keep a general ledger in pencil. And so there's a double check. And I did ask the auditors when they were here if there was a way to get rid of the pencil side of things, because I feel like sometimes it's very repetitive, but they said, no, you cannot. Like, everybody thinks that, okay, we got a computer, we can get rid of the paper. But in like in a municipality like this, you have to have that, you know, the check and balance.
Mhm.
So.
Thanks. I think that it's within the normal practice of balancing the books at the end of the year. And I think that thank you to you and Pauline if she helped in doing that. I'm happy that we made the effort to right size a lot of the line items going forward for next year. So hopefully it'll make it a lot easier. Hopefully, we'll see.
And hopefully we don't have another legal line this year. So.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Any other questions? If not, can I get a motion to approve the line item changes?
Motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All righty, let's go back. Correspondence. Mindy, we got some correspondence on Secor. We got a letter late tonight about Bank Street. I threw on there as well. I have it, we can read.
I have it.
And then there was communication to the trail committee from the Boy Scouts. I think Tom Campanille's actually, I think I saw him sign on. If not, I can read it for him.
Yeah, that one I didn't say, but I also have a correspondence from Frank and Michelle next door. But hang on, I gotta pull the one I printed. Okay. Okay. All right. So correspondence. The first one dates back to July 13th. So I'm gonna read this one first. Dear Village Board. This is from Frank Rezzavuto, who lives right next door. Around the year 2000, after new sidewalks and curbing were installed, the Villager County planted non-fruit bearing pear trees along the walks. 2 of those trees are in front of my house on village property, one at the Village Meeting Hall, Justice Court entry. They usually drop their leaves long after the maples do in December. About 3 years ago, the leaves started falling continuously from spring to December. The leaves are spotted brown, hard and crispy, blowing all over village property and mine, causing an unsightly mess. If I don't keep after it, they may become a slipping hazard when wet. I suspect the trees are diseased and have a sampling of the leaves, which I do have a bag of the leaves on my desk. It would be greatly appreciated if a tree specialist could evaluate the trees to see if a treatment could be done to rectify this problem. Thank you in advance for any attention to this matter. Frank Rezzavuto, Jr.
So on that one, those are on state property, right?
Mm-hmm. Wait, village property.
I think they might be the state property because it was part of the 301 realignment.
Okay.
So I know the state has its own arborist. We might be able to reach out and have them come look at them since they planted them.
Okay.
If we don't go anywhere with them, then we could reach out maybe to Lou Kingsley or somebody local to take a look at and diagnose what's going on. The trees planted by the state as part of that project, some of them are incredible and healthy, and then other ones just never took off. And it seems like the 2 that Frank is, letting us know about are 2 of the ones that didn't make it. So we'll go the route of the state and see what they say, and then if there's no recourse there, then we'll deal with it.
Right.
And Mindy and Mike, this is Dave McCarthy. I reached out about the Pearl Street pear trees as well. They're kind of touching the power lines there, and same as Frank, they're just real pain in the butt. They don't drop their leaves until very late, and it's just very annoying. And before your tenure, we had asked if we could have them removed, and I think there's some resistance, but yeah, we've had similar issues to what Frank is saying here.
All right. Yeah, and I mean that. Back when that project happened and these trees were planted, I don't know how much thought they gave to the proper tree plantings to put on Main Street that would be resistant to the salt and all that. So, yeah, we can have that discussion with the state. If they're sick, they're definitely they'll have to either come down or they can treat them.
Okay. Got it. I will definitely address that. And Dave, I'll talk to you about exactly which trees they are so I can have, I got to give them exact information. when
Sounds
I
good.
talked to the people at the state specifically. Okay.
Dave, the tree you're talking about is on state property or village?
It's on, well, it's on my sidewalk, my side of the street on Pearl.
Which
Uh,
sidewalk?
The Pearl Street sidewalk, not the main.
Yeah.
Is it facing, is it on the side, is it on your side of the sidewalk or the street side of the sidewalk?
It is on the
Right.
street side.
All right.
Okay. I'll check it out.
All right.
We'll check that out. Okay, hang on, I just printed the one we just got at the last minute because it didn't print the first time. Okay. Sorry. Okay, this one is from Robert and Carol Sternow at 45 Bank Street. So this is to the mayor and the village trustees. As residents of Nelsonville for 32 years, we are writing to bring to your attention serious safety concerns about heavy commercial traffic on Bank Street involving both villages of Nelsonville and Cold Spring. The Bank Street residential area between 9D and Peekskill Road is one of the densest in Phillipstown, being an outlet for West Bank Street, Parrot Street, Parsonage Street, and Division Street. If you tour Bank Street at any hour of the day or evening, you will see children walking to and from school, riding bikes and scooters, playing basketball, the Haldane track team on practice runs, along with parents with baby carriages, walkers, joggers of all ages, and residents walking their pets. This is the essence of village life. On Bank Street, however, these routine activities take place for the most part within the street itself, as there are no sidewalks on the major length of the road. Additionally, the road is single lane, so narrow at some junctures that two cars, much less commercial trucks and vans, have difficulty passing, especially when cars are parked on the side of the road, as of course they are permitted to do. The stretch of Bank Street between Division Street and Peekskill Road is especially narrow, with very poor visibility, no sidewalk, and with asphalt disintegrating down the embankment, making it an especially perilous section for walkers, bikers, as well as cars. Add to this the fact that Bank Street is constantly used to shave off a minute or two of driving time by commercial and other non-local traffic, as a bypass between 9D and Peekskill Roads, becoming in early morning hours into the evening. The commercial vehicles frequenting Bank Street run the gamut of 18-wheelers, dump trucks with heavy loads, cement trucks, flatbeds carrying heavy equipment, oil, propane trucks, smaller pickup trucks, and commercial panel vans outside of local deliveries. These vehicles are often so loud that conversations must be stopped while they pass. If you are familiar with being woken up by the sound of your local garbage trucks making stops on your street, then you have a good idea of how loud these trucks can be. These heavy vehicles most certainly contribute to the deterioration of the asphalt, as the road is not built for such weight. Requiring commercial vehicles of all types to utilize Route 9D and Peekskill Road, restricting the use of Bank Street as a shortcut, would contribute greatly to the safety of the residents of this populated area, to their peaceful enjoyment of village life, and to the cost of road maintenance by village taxpayers. With the opening of the large Butterfield condominium development, there is also the concern that Bank Street will face a significant increase in bypass traffic by those residents. Finally, the stop signs at the corners of Bank and Division Streets are often disregarded, with trucks and cars driving through them, frequently at high speeds. It may be that the addition of "stop" painted on the road, as it is on the Cold Spring side, may aid in alerting drivers of the upcoming juncture. We have too often witnessed children riding, playing, walking in the middle of Bank Street, unaware of the danger oncoming fast-moving vehicles. We feel it is our responsibility to alert village officials of these conditions before there is a tragic accident. We appreciate your consideration of this important safety and quality of life issue and look forward to your response. Respectfully, Robert Sternow and Carol Banker Sternow.
Can we put this on the August workshop? I mean, just off the top of my head, I think that if we're going to invest a lot of money in paving Bank Street, maybe we can talk to our attorney about limiting the weight of the trucks that go through there. That might be one way to limit these big trucks going through. The hard part is Downing Oil is right down the street, so I mean they're using that street as for their normal business.
Right.
I haven't, I walk there pretty regularly in the mornings. I haven't seen any of the Butterfield traffic go that way, but I mean, I don't live there, so I'll take their word for it. I don't know any other way that we can limit traffic through there other than putting some kind of weight restriction on the road or something like that.
Maybe no commercial traffic.
And then
Except for local delivery. So then that Downey is a local delivery company. If he does, you know what I mean? If it's him that we're concerned about.
We can run it by Brian Morgan and pick his brain and see what avenues we have.
Because I do live down there. I live, I'm in the village of Cold Spring, but the no sidewalk issue on Bank Street was an issue for my kids when they were growing up. So, it is a problem.
If these are village-owned streets, are speed bumps an option? Because if we make it sort of unappealing for cars to use it as a shortcut, if they have to slow down.
It's a possibility.
We'll talk to Brian.
The only issue with those is plowing and things like that.
Yep, they got to come out in this wintertime.
Yeah,
But,
I'll talk to Brian.
All right. And on the enforcement side of it with the stop signs, I've been talking with the sheriff's department about the speed through the village, like we've always been. And I'll bring that up with them as well, and possibly do some kind of, park a car there, do something for a couple hours and see if there's a problem.
Okay, and then the other correspondence that I have is other things that came in. I have from Dave McCarthy, tonight's vote. Hello, Mindy. I wanted to voice my support for tonight's vote to protect our woods forever via the OSI easement. With all that has gone on these past 6 months, I thank God often for the open spaces we are blessed to live amongst. Our family is so thankful that this board is keeping its promises to ensure that this land will remain undeveloped and protected. Thank you so much to each of you. We look forward to seeing you all on the trails. Thanks, Dave McCarthy. This one is from Joseph Plummer, Nelsonville Woods and OSI. I am writing in support of an easement with OSI to protect the small parcel on Secor from any development in the future. OSI has been good stewards of the woods and trails, which I enjoy every day and see others doing likewise. This easement is the best legal defense we have against any future development effort. Please pass the agreement. Sincerely, Joe Plummer and Kathy Plummer, 30 Cedar Street Spur, Nelsonville. And last, David Lindbergh, OSI easement. I support the OSI easement. The village will gain a lot and will lose nothing. David Lindbergh, 2 Crown Street. And that is it for correspondence.
I had one more from the Boy Scouts. Tom, I see you're on. Do you want to talk or no?
Yeah, sure. Happy to. And I apologize. I probably should have sent it in officially. I sent it to the trail group, but
I threw it up on the screen right now so people can read. But if you want to just give kind of an overview of what you want to do.
Yeah. So basically, we've got a requirement for our scouts that they complete a 1-mile orienteering course, and that's to test their skill with map and compass. Believe it or not, we still stress that over GPS. We would normally do that over at Durland Scout Reservation in Putnam Valley. They unfortunately are closed for the duration of the pandemic because they are classified as a camp. So we're not even allowed to get in there for day use. They've got a course already set up. What I was hoping to get permission to do would be on the village portion of the woods, not the state lands. Just place, 4 or 5 small markers, no bigger than the trail markers themselves. They'd be little orange and white squares, each with a letter on them. We'd place them at different points in the preserve, and then we would produce a map for the scouts that shows where the first one is, and they would have to navigate to each of the other 4 or 5, write down the letter, and it usually spells out a word. And it just tests their ability to read a map, navigate with the compass. The markers wouldn't be, in your face by any means. In fact, you want them to be kind of hidden. So the boys have to look for them and make sure they use the compass properly. and we would remove them after a week. We're just trying to find a creative way to accomplish this requirement while our scout camp is closed. And the Nelsonville Woods, they're local, and it's a perfect location if you'd be open to that. We'd also agree to, of course, do it in small groups with masks and social distancing. We'd adhere to all those requirements. We wouldn't publicize it, you know, down in the city on blogs or anything like that. And we'd pick up trash while we're out there as well.
Great. So you sent this into the trail committee. There was feedback from about a half dozen of the individuals on the trail committee. Everybody's very supportive. I'm very supportive. Does anyone on the board have any questions? And if not, I just ask for a motion to allow the Boy Scouts to do this project.
Make a motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. You're all good to go, Tom.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
I'll let OSI know that we're doing it. They might approach you because it's good PR. Very good. I think that's it for correspondence. Next up is the Secor parcel. Let's see. Vote to sign the OSI agreement. I mean, I think at this stage, we have discussed this ad nauseum for the last 3 years. I think when I first got on the board, it's almost 2.5 years ago. The mayor then, Bill O'Neill, put me as kind of the one spearheading the talks with OSI and how to do this. We negotiated a conservation amendment or conservation easement amendment that incorporated some of the questions and concerns that the public had. That's gone through 5 or 6 incarnations to the point now where we have a proposed conservation easement extension to incorporate the 4 acres on Secor that allows for, I'll just read the actual verbiage here. Let's see. The meat of the issue is the ability of the grantor to place structures on the additional acreage shall be governed by the process indicated in section 3.3 of the original easement. Nevertheless, grantor and grantee acknowledge that one non-commercial community benefit structure, example, a youth center, public restroom, educational facility, playground, public drinking water well, or similar improvement shall be presumed to be compatible with the scenic and recreational values protected by the original easement. And this amendment, so long as such structure does not impair any wetlands regulated by the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation and is located on the portion of the additional acreage shown as tax map number 3817-1-6 on Schedule B, notwithstanding the foregoing non-commercial community benefit structure shall not include a cell tower. I think we're at the stage now where we're ready to vote. If anyone has any questions, it's open to the board. Yeah, I mean, we've discussed this. I can't even count how many meetings we've discussed it at. We've had our attorneys involved, OSI's attorneys involved.
Oh, I know.
It was part of the Homeland litigation as well. I'm pretty sure that everyone is very familiar with the history of everything that's been going on.
Michael, before you take a vote, can I say something, please?
We're actually holding public comment till the end, Gloria. Sorry.
So at the end, after you voted, what I say won't matter then, only as a matter of record, what you're saying.
Yes, Gloria, we've had numerous public hearings where
I don't need to repeat. I've been to all those meetings.
Yep. I know what you're going to say. Any questions from the board? Is there a motion to allow me to sign this agreement with OSI?
Motion?
Is there a second?
Second.
Any public or any comment?
I vote no.
I was just going to do a roll call. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
No.
Dave's opposed. All right, so it passes 4-1. All right, we will contact OSI and undertake the next steps in that. The survey is on hold indefinitely. It was waived as part of the requirement given COVID and the fact that you can't, for the months and months that we were going through this, you couldn't get a survey crew out there. That may be revisited, but they have agreed to pay for it. Let's see, CCA, resolution to enact and appoint Jewel as the admin. Doug or Chris, I mean, we're at the stage with this where we've had numerous public meetings on this as well. We just need to adopt this to appoint them as the administrator so that we can kind of push the ball a little bit farther down the field with this, correct?
Correct.
All right, so let me read this quick. I'll leave the top to be filled in until we vote.
Mhm.
Now, therefore, it be it enacted by the Board of Trustees of the Village of Nelsonville as follows. Section 1, let's see. Statement of purpose and intent is contained in local law attached here to as Exhibit A. I don't think I need to read any of this. The local law is a type 2 action as defined by 6 NY CRR Part 617.5 C31. As the program is comprised of the purchase of electricity, which is a supply which includes fuels, energy as stated in the Secret Handbook, 4th edition. This local law shall be effective when filed in the New York State Department of State. Again, this is just to appoint Jewel as the admin for the program. Is there a motion to appoint Jewel?
Motion to appoint Jewel?
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. That'll probably trigger some more public hearings, correct?
Yes, that they will host.
Yes.
That, yeah, now the CCA people can take over as the administrator, and they will host, I think, 2 public forums, and then we move forward.
Great. Next up is the 5G. Let's see. First off is a secret declaration.
Right.
Whereas the Village of Nelsonville Board of Trustees has introduced an introductory local law entitled A Local Law Adopting Regulations for Small Cell Wireless Facility Development, and whereas the board deems the proposed local law to be a type 2 action pursuant to New York CRR Part 617.5 C7 and 33. Now therefore be it resolved that the board determines that the action before it is a type 2 action pursuant, which provided that installation of telecommunication cables and existing highway or utility rights of way, utilizing trenchless burial or aerial placement on existing poles, and adoption of regulations, policies, procedures, and local legislative decisions in connection with any action on this list are type 2 actions which secret does not apply to. The zoning regulation embodied by this local law is comprised of a system of regulations pertaining to as yet unfiled permit applications for cables and associated equipment to be installed on existing utility poles and public rights of way, and therefore not subject to further secret compliance until further permit applications are filed. Is there a motion to accept the secret declaration?
Motion to accept.
Is there a second?
Second.
Let's go down here. Roll call. Mayor Bowman, vote aye. Trustee McKaylee.
Aye.
Trustee Maroney.
Aye.
Trustee Podlowski.
Aye.
Trustee Winward.
Aye.
That passes. Now we're moving on to the local law itself. Somebody want to read this?
The whole thing?
Well, we probably should. It's not that long, actually.
Okay. Dove, you should do the honor.
Who?
Dove.
Yeah, Doug. It's all,
It's, you know, it's very small on my screen. Wait. I have it in another tab. Okay. A resolution of the Board of Trustees of the Village of Nelsonville. At a regular meeting of the Board of Trustees of the Village of Nelsonville, Village Board held, wait, am I reading the wrong? I'm reading the wrong thing. I'm reading what we did last week.
Do you want me to read it?
I'm sorry, Mike, I don't have.
you're basically reading the resolution part of it. It's attached to the small wireless local law, which is 25 pages long, so we're not going to read the whole law. So, I mean, we can just adopt. Is there a motion to adopt the resolution enacting local law for the small cell wireless amendment to the zoning law? Is there a motion?
A motion to adopt.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None. All right. That's an important one. It lays the foundation work for, you know, whatever comes down the pike with 5G. And, you know, Chris, you mentioned it last week, and I'll mention it again. Dove, you did a great job with this.
Thanks. I just want to say that I think we made it as strong as we really could. You know, a lot of points that were raised by the public, I was very sympathetic to, but Nelsonville doesn't necessarily have the authority to legislate on those matters. Those are really federal or state jurisdictions. So I feel confident that this is as strong as we're going to get it at this point. And I do think it protects the village. That's it.
Moving on, the continued discussion of paving of Bank and Division Streets. Dave and I met with Charlie Paul Hemus last Friday, was that?
Friday. No, it was Thursday.
Thursday to go over his quote or his bid, just kind of expand on what we should do over there. After walking both streets with him, he did come into agreement with us that both streets should be milled down and, you know, treated with another 2 inches of asphalt rather than going over the current problems that are there. He is going to get back to us with a revised quote. And Dave and I met with Briggs Paving
Friday.
Right, and that was this one. So they originally had given us a quote on Bank Street that was $38,000. Come to find out, that quote wasn't for milling the whole street down. It was for actually excavating just the first 150 feet of it or something like that.
Originally, yeah.
Yeah. So they went back, they revised the quote for both Division and Bank. This would be milling down 2 inches and then repaving it with a 3-year guarantee. You know, Briggs has a really good reputation. We don't need to make a decision on this tonight. I spoke to Dave before the meeting. We'll see what Paul Hemus comes back with, and then we can make a decision. It's already kind of been approved in the budget. But again, we need to make a decision pretty soon because Briggs has got like a 4-week waiting list. So that puts us to the middle of August. We don't really want to keep going any farther than that. Any questions? I mean, the problem with the bids are all over the place because most of them are just want to repave over what's there. And the underlayment is so fractured and so spidered that whatever you put on top of it is just going to come apart again. That's why they don't offer guarantees. Briggs, Paul Hemus even said that he I don't know, Dave, he didn't say he'd give us a guarantee, but
He basically said 1 to 2, but no guarantee. He said most likely, no matter what you do on the roads, they're going to crack because our temperatures in the winter get too cold, the road's going to heave.
Yeah.
So that's where you're at. You'll probably still get the cracking because that's the, you're dumping all that salt, heavy trucks up and down the street in the winter when you get the thaw and the freeze and then back and forth again with the melting. So that's kind of where Charlie was at. You know, and I think the other guys would be the same way. You know, the roads are, I think they're right. They're going to crack no matter what you technically do. But I don't think it'll be like in 1 year. You might give, 2 or 3 years before you get the first crack.
yeah. And the problem with parts of Division Street and even parts of Bank Street is that it's been repaved so many times with different layers that it's getting close to the curb top. So another 2 inches is going to put you almost even with the curb, which is going to create drainage issues. Some of the homes on Division Street have drains or sump pumps that come out in the side of the curb. So any kind of paving is going to bring it up above the exit of that pipe. So that's going to cause an issue. So after walking the site with Charlie Paul Hemus, even he agreed that you really do need to mill it down farther and then repave so that we're not creating more issues. So we'll we'll give Charlie some time to get back to us for an estimate. Maybe we can give him a call tomorrow, and then we can compare kind of apples to apples with what we've got and make a decision then. Sound good?
Yeah, can I ask about the CHIPS funds? Did we get any update on how much we'd be eligible for this year? I know we were banking on 30 with a potential for more.
Okay, I reached out to our liaison. Dania Anziotti is the engineer that's assigned to us. And basically, we have a cumulative balance of 51,333. We can apply for up to that amount. Basically, the scope of the work dictates what we can apply for and what we get. She's going to work with me on, the optimal way to file with them. And this is all completely new to me. So if I sound like I don't know what I'm talking about, I really don't. I'm only saying what I've been able to learn, through the people I'm working with.
Mm-hmm. So far, does it seem like what we're planning is within eligibility for the entire funds, or not the full amount, or?
I believe that, well, there's not if we're going to go for $79,000 worth of repairs, no, there's not that much money to cover it, but there is 52,000. I think that the best way to handle this, and I mean, we'll talk about it at the next workshop and stuff as we prepare for this, but would be like to use half of the funds that, 25,000 towards our repairs this year, and then keep 25,000 for next year, because we don't want to use up everything that we've accumulated up until now, because then that's not leaving anything for going forward. So, I want to pick this girl's brain a little bit, and, as I'm working with her, she knows what we're planning to do so far. And I said, as we get into more detail, I'll be reaching out to her more and more. So, they're going to walk me through it, and whatever feedback I get from them, I'll pass on to you.
Okay,
So,
thanks.
yeah, I can't answer specifics more than that yet.
And ideally, we'll knock these 2 roads out this year, hopefully, and then
Secor.
we have Secor Street that needs addressing. I don't know if you've seen Adams Avenue. It's completely spidered and fallen apart there too. We do eventually have to do something with parts of Pine Street and Pearl Street, but that's kind of a waste with the sewer issue that's still going on there. So I mean, there's definitely projects going forward that we need to kind of plan for. So I would not want to use all the CHIPS money this year, but
Is that CHIPS money, is that a one-time shot, or is that every year you get it?
No, you get.
it accumulates every year.
You get like
given
what, 5,000 every year, something like that?
How much?
It gets divided up among the municipalities and the percentage.
Right.
I don't know the formula off the top of my head, but it's a pretty standard amount that we get.
I'm going to guess, given the state of the economy and the New York State tax base this year, that we're going to be looking at less CHIPS funding in the next year. So
Probably a good guess, yes. All right, so we'll reach out to Paul Hemus, and then we'll go from there. Yeah, if we get anything back between now and the next workshop, if we need to, we could even hop on to an emergency meeting to discuss it at some point if we had to, just to get the ball rolling.
Right, and I'll connect with the state people and, throw out, this is the estimate that we're getting, like what do you suggest I do with this? They're gonna show me the optimal way to use it. They know that is my first year doing something like this, so they wanna work with us like this. They're stuck at home.
Yeah, and I've spoken to a few people who are knowledgeable in paving and things like that, and 38,000 for that. The amount of the project that we're doing on Division Street, and actually Bank Street is larger than Division. That portion of the project, 38, is pretty fair. So.
Right. Yeah, and compared to other towns and villages, I'm sure that our amounts are very, very small.
I mean, it all depends. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
you don't see Village of Cold Spring paving too many streets every year. It's an expensive endeavor. So. Update on the election. Do you want to talk about that?
Well, we kind of hit on that right in the beginning. All we've been given thus far is the date of September 8th. They've confirmed that we do not need to print new ballots. As long as the ballots were printed prior to that shutdown date, we can use the ballots that show the March date. Nothing has to be changed on them. And that's it. They're really not giving us much other guidance at all. You know, I have the registration list and then we shut down. So I have to reach out to NICOM and see, you know, and that's what's going to happen. They'll, like you said, they'll go to the state and come back to us with some guidance.
And just to recap from the beginning, I was speaking to one of the election workers who's online tonight. We will do everything in our power to make it safe as per NICOM, and, you know, literally anything we can go above and beyond to make it safe. But ultimately it's going to fall to them whether they're comfortable or not, and completely understand if they're not. It is a strange world right now.
Oh, 2 months from the 8th anyways, is the national election. So something's got to get done.
Yes, it's true. And I mean, we didn't control the dates. Originally, it went from March to April, April to June, now June to September. It's like arbitrary, like they're throwing darts at a dartboard kind of thing. So hopefully New York keeps going the direction it's going and nothing sets back any of it.
Right.
Before we go to the floor, one other thing I want to mention is Dave, you did an awesome job with Kenny Conley on the kiosk. If you guys have not seen it, the railings and the kiosk itself look great. And I am going to look at Dove and Chris and Lisa and even Mindy. You all volunteered that if we kept the kiosk, you guys were going to get stuff to put into it. So the doors right now do not lock, but they have like a sliding lock on them just to keep them shut. So if you want to hang things in there, as long as they're nothing that can be stolen, go right ahead.
Great.
Anything else before we go to the floor?
I got a question.
Yep.
That tree across from Billy's Way, is it a state tree or a
Is that-
homeowner tree?
The chestnut tree? The one that we put the barrel in front of?
Yep.
That's the state's tree.
Are they going to take it down?
Greg Bentley is our state engineer. He's supposed to be coming out to look at it, make a determination, and do something with it. Yes.
This is the one that the sidewalk goes around.
Mm.
Yep.
Yeah.
I had mentioned that tree last year, and nothing was done with it. So this year now that big branch fell off it, so now maybe something might get done.
I'll go out and give them another push. I haven't heard from them in a week, so.
All right. Anything from anyone else before we go to public comment? If anyone in attendance would like to speak, unmute yourself, just identify who you are, where you live, and go ahead.
All right, Gloria Fantasso, 279 Main Street.
You're the one exception. We don't need, we know where you live, Lori.
I know, but other people might not. I just want to say I appreciate all your work and all the efforts. I've lived in this house actually for 40 years. I've lived in Cold Spring for 55. I love our community. I love the woods. So please, whatever I'm going to say, don't take it to heart that I'm not a person that wants to do away with the woods. I mean, I have a lot of good memories learning to ice skate in James Pond, climbing up the Devil's Kitchen when I was a teenager. So I do love the woods. Michael, my question is, how long that 4 acres of land has the village owned that? Do you know the exact date?
I don't know the exact date off the top of my head. It's on the website.
Okay, it's my understanding, and I might be wrong, this, other than our buildings, this is the only property truly that we own, the 4 acres. I think we obtained it from the VFW. I don't know why I think that. I haven't done the history on it. And what I'm going to say, and please don't be offended by it, but I really believe that 3 of the board members should have recused themselves from voting because of the fact that they own property that doesn't adjoin, that's close to this 4 acres. If the cell tower was ever built on it, that definitely would affect their property values. That's my thought. I'm allowed to have those thoughts because I live in the USA. We can agree to disagree. That's my thought. Also, the 4 acres of land, when they said they gave up the survey, they really didn't do much for us because of the fact they spent $2 million, or whatever the price tag was, buying Breakneck Lodge. So as much as we think OSI did all this for us, and I've always been a supporter of OSI, really when it comes down to it, they got what they wanted. And that's just my phone, I'm gonna ignore it. Be as it may, I don't want to see that land, and whoever was involved in the contract, thank you for putting in the wording about a well, because I think that was one of the reasons we wanted to hold on to it if we ever needed a septic system or a water system in the village of Nelsonville. So thank you for that. It troubles me because I thought during the meetings that we've been attending that it was said, I thought Michael, you said it, and a couple other trustees, that it would be up to the public to decide to vote on. And I know if it was voted on, it would be approved, but it's still the idea. If you make that statement, we should follow through. That's all I want to say on that point. Last night, Greta Graham called me, and she's not capable of doing Zoom. Some of our older people aren't able to do it. So she wanted me to mention something to you. She said there's 3 potholes by her house up there. I mentioned to Judy Meyer, I think David, you know about the potholes. Did she see you, David, mention it to you?
I know about it. She didn't mention it to me though.
So she wanted me to mention that, so I mentioned it to you. And you know, we sit here and we talk about our ecosystem, but it bothers me, and I know other people have mentioned it. I live across from the sheriff's substation. The other day, the sheriff's car ran outside for 2 hours and 42 minutes. That is exhaust system going into our air. If I did that with my car, I don't think they would allow it. But this is quite frequently the sheriffs park their cars, they go inside. I think they're going to come back out. I don't know what's taking place. But I mean, 2 hours and 42 minutes just running. And I know the reason is they don't want to have to reboot their computer. But just think, would that be allowed in California? No, it wouldn't be allowed, a car running like that for that period of time.
Well,
And-
we'll address that with the sheriff's department.
Yeah,
It's-
but you know, Michael, I don't want my name said because you know
Oh,
how
no,
this.
no, it won't be. It's been a complaint that actually we've received from numerous.
Yeah,
individuals.
Gloria, we've received other complaints from adjacent near residents. You're not by any way the only one who's mentioned that.
Yeah, I've heard those complaints. You know, I didn't pay much attention to it. And then the other day, I'm like, what's that car running? You keep hearing it, you keep going and looking. And, but I figured I had to mention it. And I can't think of anything else, but I do appreciate all your help. I really do. I learned long ago, somebody told me, often in life, you get more accomplished sitting on the outside of a board than sitting on the board because your hands are tied. I can sit here and say things that maybe you would hesitate to say. So I thank you for hearing me and understand that I love this community just as much as anybody else and want to see our land protected. And now when I see Route 301, which I travel to work, but I'm not working yet, with cars all up and down. I don't know if you've seen it, Michael, on the weekends, Route 301.
I've been very vocal on Facebook about it.
I know, I see, I'm in shock. I've been traveling that road for 15 years and now it's almost getting, not as bad as Breakneck Tunnel, but I look at the trails I did as a kid.
I'll say it's arguably more of a disaster waiting to happen than Breakneck, because you have people swimming in a non-lifeguard lake with a lot of debris on the bottom, and it's going to be a disaster. I hope state parks readdresses that decision.
I hope so, because I went by there to visit a friend, and when I saw them swimming, I'm like, oh, they don't allow swimming in that. But then I saw you posted, I think. Oh,
they changed the law last year, so you can now swim in any state-owned body of water.
No, but I thank everyone. I really do. It's nice to see that we can agree to disagree and still part ways and be friends.
Absolutely. Thank you, Gloria.
No, thank you.
Anybody else?
Hello,
Who's that?
Alan Potts, 294 Main Street.
All righty.
We've already hashed this many times, but first and foremost, I agree completely with Gloria and everything she said. I think this board on this occasion, by not putting it to the public for a vote, has dishonored the offices they hold. And that's all I have to say about it.
And I'll agree with Gloria that it's nice to be able to agree to disagree and still live in a community with people. And thank you for your input.
I agree. All right. Good night.
Anybody else?
Yeah, Dave McCarthy, 256 Main Street.
Yep, go ahead.
Although the name says Danielle Pack McCarthy, I just changed that for some reason. Just real quickly, I haven't been in the meetings, I apologize, but what kind of control do we have over 5G placement as you see it now? I'm starting to catch up my knowledge base on that. What are we looking at? Like, what kind of control do we have?
Do you mean, Dave, do you mean before we pass the code update or after?
Or yeah, I guess now since we passed it.
Yeah. Okay, because previously we had no control. So applicants wouldn't even have to apply for a permit. So what this new code update ensures is that all carriers who want to install 5G anywhere in the village, they have to go in front of the planning board. And we lay out a process of what the application entails and things that they have to abide by, and they have to take into account our SAS designation, our scenic area of statewide significance. So we've tried to make it, we're regulating the application process, whereas previously there was no application process, no review by our boards.
And do you have the right to deny an application for reasons of, like, for instance, that's just too populated of an area, or?
Well, working with the lawyer, we were able to say certain things outright that we would not allow. So we will not allow it on a residence. It also has to be within 50 feet of a residence. Issues like that. We aren't allowed to outright deny it in the code, but the village is allowed to list the areas that it would prefer to have it. And it's a stacked list. And so it's the burden becomes on the carrier to follow our preferences in the siting of it, and also in the appearance and design of it. So we can't prohibit the service, but we can heavily regulate it, or at least this code allows us to regulate it to the strongest degree possible under federal law.
Got it, great. And then did you already determine the preferred locations if an application were to come to be?
Yeah, and so, sorry, it's all in the longer resolution. Just bear with me 1 second. So there's a section where it says what our ranked list is,
Do you know what page?
no, that's why I'm looking.
If this is
Location, okay. So this is
Okay.
page 17. So we were able to indicate what our highest priority and lowest priority locations were. So number one is co-location on existing utility poles. But one thing that I want to say is there are a lot of utility poles that are within 50 feet of residences. So we'd be looking at utility poles that are farther away than a lot of utility pole, right? So those ones that aren't too close to houses, I think that's really important. And so then the second area priority would be co-location on an existing site, which we don't have, or other telecommunications facilities or structures in the village. And then it would be on village property in village right of way. And so there's a long list, and then it says, number two, if the proposed site is not proposed for the highest priority listed above, then a detailed explanation must be provided as to why a site of higher priority was not selected. And that is where the planning board will be very involved, you know, and they could say, well, actually, that's not a credible justification for not following our ranked list of priorities.
Got it. Excellent. I'll review this. Thank you very much.
Anybody else from the public with any public comment?
Tom Campanella, 44 Billy's Way. I spoke earlier on the scout thing. I didn't have a chance to put a letter of support in, so I'll thank you after the fact for what you did to preserve that land in the Nelsonville Woods and go through with the OSI easement. Very much in support of it. We get great use out of it as a community, and we want to see that forever wild if possible. And I think the allowable uses that you put in that easement would benefit the community, but they would do so in keeping it woodlands, keeping the character there, protecting us from things like cell towers in the future. So I just want to express my personal thanks and support to all of you.
Thank you.
I have something that we missed.
What did we miss?
I have something.
Go ahead, let Heidi go, and then I'll
Okay,
at the end.
real quick. Sorry, Mindy. This will
Okay.
be real quick because I'm sure you're trying to wrap up. But one is that I don't know if people have noticed, but the deer have started biting the witch hazels seedlings. And so just to make sure that they don't get wiped out, I was hoping that we could put some tubes, and these would not be those really obtrusive blue tubes, but rather the tubes that were included in the proposal for the invasive removal project that has already been passed by the board. Just like the least intrusive types of tubes, and they're biodegradable actually, by the way. And they would just go around, you know, some of the witch hazels that have already been munched by the deer, just to make sure that we don't lose all 200 of them. If is that okay?
Yes.
Okay. And one other thing, really, really quick, I just want to note that a study just came out that indicates that that PAHs, which is polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons, are very, very damaging to water quality. And considering we have such amazing water quality here, I just was I'll write a letter about this, but including this study about the Great Lakes contamination, just to note that whatever we do in terms of repaving the streets, I'm hoping that we can collect do it in such a manner that there won't be a lot of asphalt going down the drains and ruining our water quality. I think this is a really groundbreaking study that shows that it's these PAHs, the polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons, that have heavily polluted the Great Lakes, and we don't want to be the next polluted area as a result of just neglecting this issue. And so I'll write a letter to the board and include the information about this study, and maybe whatever we can find out about how to prevent the dust from any roadbed removal from going down into our groundwater and into our creeks and wetlands here, and make sure that the materials that we're going to use to repave will not contain these PAHs. Anyway, I just wanted to give a preview.
Anybody
Okay.
else? We all good? And then we'll go to Mindy.
Okay, so reminder, the leaf and lawn debris pickup is tomorrow. We said everybody should have everything out in the morning. Good news, I spoke to Mark today. He's not going to be coming around until 12 noon. So people have plenty of time to get all that stuff out. He is putting it into his own chopper and making it into mulch. That he has confirmed time and time again to me, to the point that even the village of Cold Spring, and I found out, because I had heard about that already, reaching out, how is the village of Nelsonville doing this magic? But I heard one of the town trustees also reached out to Mark about this magic that he's doing. So anyway, we're very lucky. I'm very happy. It's going to be turned into mulch, recycled, and take advantage of it. It's happening tomorrow and again on Wednesday, August 5th.
And we should credit Heidi for suggesting
Yes.
that we compost it.
Definitely.
You, Heidi.
Yes,
Good idea.
because I thought it was going to be dumped at Royal. I didn't even know that Royal won't take that stuff.
Yay.
So,
If you follow the newspaper, Cold Spring is in a bit of, a little bit of trouble because they've been dumping their leaves and brush in one area for the past 30, 40 years, and it's gotten full, and so they're at a loss of what to do with it. So they reached out to us to see where we were putting ours. So thank God Mark has his own chipper. So
yep.
Anybody else before we close it for the night? All right. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
All right.
Hi.
Have a good evening, everybody. Thank you.
Night, all.
Thank you.
Hey, everyone.
Good night.
Night. Thank you.
Night all.